What's up? I'm Chris Collins, aka Chris D.O.G.T. That stands for Defenders of Good Times. I am just a hillbilly skateboarder, punk rock weirdo artist living in California, and this is all my weird shit. I grew up on a farm in Ohio. I was kind of in a small town. There wasn't a lot to do. At a young age, I got into metal and punk rock and skateboarding and all of that. My dad used to drag race. My mom was an artist, not making the same kind of art that I do, but she makes really cool stuff. But ever since I was a kid, I was always surrounded by, these bright colors and crazy images and stuff that was chaotic. There was like the stuff in my mind, but where I grew up wasn't like that. So it was kind of like there was this heavy contrast of what was going on in my head and what was surrounding me. Like, my dad with drag racing was always into Ed Roth stuff. I always had, Rat Fink stickers and even just like the lettering that they used to do on drag cars, like the Hooker Headers logo and just all that cool stuff. And then, when I was like 7, my dad gave me a Black Sabbath tape. I used to rock that. He showed me that you turn the volume all the way up when you listen to Black Sabbath. And then, as time went on, I got more into punk rock when I was in my early teens. Well, before my early teens, but I was into that kind of stuff, the album covers and just the attitude that went along with it was just so bright and exciting to me. And same thing with skateboarding. The graphics on skateboarding, I think, are what drew me to get into skateboarding more than actually skateboarding itself. But then, it was something that I stuck with my whole life. I still skateboard, even though I probably shouldn't because my body's all fucked up. But yeah. So after living in Ohio for a while, I started working at tattoo shops. I opened a shop called Tattoo Faction with my friends Greg Christian and Cindy Strumpel and Dave Wolf, and that kind of got me more into the tattoo aspect of art, which I've managed shops since then. And but Ohio still wasn't really my scene when I was growing up. So I jumped a plane with a backpack and a skateboard and headed to California. And here I am now. I lived in Southern California for about a year and then moved to the Bay Area. And that was kind of like home to me. I fit in well there. There was enough weird shit going on around me and all the things that I like, all the bands, the music, the art, everything. And at this point, I wasn't making art. At a young age, I kind of started drinking, got into some drugs and stuff a little bit, and was just crazy. I was all about partying. I would go out every single night. I worked my ass off so I could support, just living in the Bay and partying as hard as I did. But then one night I was crossing the street in San Francisco and a car blew through a red light and hit me, and I ended up messing up my body pretty bad. Ended up in bed for a while. And it kind of changed things for me. And after surgeries and all that shit, I kind of came to the realization that, I needed to do more with my life, and that everything kind of goes by pretty quick, and that, I realized how unproductive I was being in life. So I decided that day that I was never going to drink again, never going to do drugs again, and that I was going to teach myself to do the one thing that I've always wanted to do, and that's make art. And I started and I haven't stopped. That was about 7 years ago. I've been creating stuff every single day. Haven't had a sip of booze, which is good. And I've just tried to live my life in a more positive and productive way. And yeah, so the stuff that I make is pretty out there. It's not, doesn't really follow any guidelines. It's always different. I like to use bright colors and, work off of the influences that I have through skateboard graphics, punk rock album covers, metal album covers, drugs that I've done in the past, and, just kind of, and traditional tattooing too. I like to make bold, bright things. So I kind of have like created my own style of artwork that really just kind of is what's in my head and what comes out naturally to me. I've never really passed an art class. I've never been trained in any kind of art whatsoever. And so I just do what's comfortable to me and what I like to do. And I like honest artwork that's like really what people kind of muster up in their head. And I don't know. What I do, I like to have heavy contrast in the imagery as well as in the aesthetic of what I'm creating. And that's why I do a lot of paint overs on original portraits from the 1800s. I paint on a lot of animal bones. All the animal bones that I paint on, I find and clean myself. I don't kill anything to make my art. I try to just kind of bring a second life to what's already gone. So, yeah, it's been a crazy journey making the things that I do. When I started making art, I also decided I was looking at the people that were influencing the stuff that I was doing and the people that I was gaining inspiration from. And I noticed that a lot of people that were amazing artists were really discouraged in what they were doing and, kind of the recognition that they were getting. They didn't feel like they were being recognized as, doing something as awesome as they were. So I wanted to reach out to the artists that I liked and kind of find a way to bring everyone together. So I started an art collective called Defenders of Good Times. And what it is an open submission collective where anyone can be involved. I don't care if it's the first day you drew or if you've been doing it your entire life. I kind of just wanted something where people could show off their original ideas and not have to follow guidelines of other collectives where, you have certain themes or whatever where there's control over what you're doing. I want people to have the freedom to just like have fun and enjoy what they're doing and show what they're passionate about. So I basically just started hitting up artists that I like, and I was like, hey, I would like you to just like do a drawing or a painting, whatever it is that you want to do. Just make sure that it says D.O.G.T or Defenders of Good Times on it. And I'll post it on Instagram. That's what it started out as. There really wasn't much else going on with it. And then, so out of nowhere, people just start making stuff, start sending me stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, people actually get this, that like, it's just kind of a fun space for people to share what they love to do. And so I was like, I gotta step it up a little bit, do something different with it. So I started putting on art shows. I started having artists mail me their artwork, and then I would, find a venue, do a show, get a couple bands to play. Had the first show that I ever did, Gypsy Hawk and Glitter Wizard, which are two of my favorite bands, came out and they played the show, and it was a blast, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I have no background in curating art shows or doing anything like that. So it's, you know, everything that I've done since I've started is just like kind of saying, fuck it. Like, just got to do it. It's what I want to do. So I do it. So the shows kind of started gaining a little momentum. Did a couple smaller shows at first, and then my buddy Mikey, who owns Sizzle Pie up in Portland, hit me up, and he was like, "Hey man, we want you to do like a proper D.O.G.T show." And so I started getting the submissions. People start sending crazy ass paintings. Go up, spend a month in Portland putting the show together, and we had Big Business and Thrones play for free, and they, like, the place was past capacity for hours. There was a line around the block for hours, and I got to meet so many artists that like I look up to and that I respect, and even just to have artwork in the show from these artists that I've been looking at their stuff for years. I mean, Jeff Whitehead and Jeff Rasher, and like there was just so many people, all the Swamp Wizards dudes, Sketchy Tank, Tallboy, Dresden, everybody really came out and like put together some awesome stuff. And I've met so many amazing people through doing these shows that I wanted to like keep it going. And so then I met my friend Kiki from Germany. He came to the show in Portland, and we started talking, and we were like, man, we need to work together more. And we, next thing you know, I'm in Germany. I've never been out of the country. And it was crazy. We did a festival called the Custom Culture Forever Festival, and me and Kiki, in 3 days, didn't sleep. We stayed up. We framed and made walls for over 600 paintings. Just the two of us staying up all night, just cranking away. It was nuts. We built these walls that had everything laid out the way that it was going to be in the show, loaded it up in his old Econoline, and drove like hours through the countryside of Germany to go set up at this festival. Did the show at the festival. Then we went, and in his hometown of Bremen, we did a show there at a restaurant that his friends owned that was super fun. It was crazy. Came back to America. We decided to open up the gallery, the Defenders of Good Times Gallery, which was in downtown Oakland. It was nuts. I was working at Temple Tattoo at the time, which was right around the corner. We lived above the gallery. It was like two dudes living in this like weird office that was above the gallery. It was super sketchy where we were at. And we had over 1,000 paintings in there, and we worked our ass off to try to make it happen. We had some killer shows, had stand-up comedy roll through every month or whatever, and we just did a lot of fun stuff. We had bands play there. We had pinball machine. We had Dresden painted a giant skeleton wizard on the ceiling. It was wild. It was a good time. And then Kiki had to move back to Germany. We shut the gallery down. I got an invite from Zilly and Martina at Pretty Electric in Gävle, Sweden, and they wanted me to go do a solo show in Sweden. So I packed up all my artwork, and me and my girlfriend Danielle got on an airplane, flew out to Sweden, and it was nuts. We had the best time. Everybody at Pretty Electric was super cool. Zilly and Martina and Johnny, and they kind of just showed us around the old part of Gävle. We went to Stockholm, met up with a bunch of friends in Stockholm that I've just talked to over the internet, never met before. And I didn't really know what to think of it because I had had smaller solo shows before that, And this one was just, I mean, it was my first international art show. So it was just kind of crazy for me. And I didn't know how people were going to, you know, react to it because I make really weird shit. And I ended up, you know, they had a guy come in and was like going to do a little interview for a newspaper or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool. And so then we wake up the next morning and the lady at the hotel we were staying at like had the newspaper and she was like, oh, you're on the newspaper. And my picture's just big as fuck on the front of the newspaper in Sweden, which was a really weird feeling, but it was super cool. The show went great. Bunch of people liked it, sold some paintings, and got to adventure around Sweden. It was rad. And then I came back, and I've just been trying to make as much new stuff as I can, trying to push myself a little bit. The people that are around me at the tattoo shop are super helpful, trying to like, you know, we always like paint together and learn from each other and teach each other cool new shit. And I've just been trying to make as much as possible. So one of my my most frequently asked questions about my artwork is, what pink do you use? Because all my stuff I always use, I've switched it up a bit. I use a lot of different colors now, but mainly the base of everything I was doing was like neon pink, and nobody could ever figure out what pink I was using. So obviously not going to say what it is, but it's cheap. It's good. People always ask me what I use for all my supplies, and honestly, the best answer I can ever give anyone when they ask me what I use is I use everything. Anything that works, I'll use it. I go around to garage sales, estate sales, flea markets, junk stores, dollar stores, whatever. Like, there's no right tool to use for something unless you have like something specific you're doing, like sign painting or something, or tattooing. Like, there is stuff that you need, but to make art, you can use whatever you want. You can I use the little 50-cent little, you know, crappy acrylic paints for stuff, and I drip them all over everything. Use a lot of liquid acrylics, a lot of microns. I use everything and anything. I use house paint all the time, but it's just, you know, whatever you can make work, you use it. And people always even ask me, you know, what kind of art do you make? When people ask you what you do and you say you make pictures, they want to know what it is that you do. And everybody always thinks, oh, you make art? Cool, like draw a portrait of my grandfather or something. It's like, I don't do that. I just have fun. I draw what comes out of my head. The best way that I can describe what I do is it's just weird acid punk rock folk art. Like, I don't follow any guidelines. I don't do anything that I feel like I have to do. Every once in a while, I'll do something for like a themed art show or something, but I'll do my own twist on it. I just like making fun, bright stuff that comes out of my head, shit that makes me laugh and makes me smile. And, you know, not everybody likes what I do, and I'm totally cool with that. I love when people don't like a style of artwork because it means that they're actually looking at it and they realize that they don't like it. You know what I mean? It's supposed to make you think, and it's supposed to make you feel something. So even if it makes you feel something where you're like, fuck that, that sucks, like, that's cool with me, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's just all about having fun and doing what you want to do, and, you know, creating and sharing with people and inspiring other people to like have their fun, do their thing, that they don't have to do what everybody's expecting of them. Once you start focusing on the expectations of others, you start losing control of your own life. And I don't know, for me, art's been the biggest game changer in my entire life. Like, after I got hit by that car and decided to start doing something that I've always wanted to do that I never had the confidence to do, it changed. I got, you know, through making art, I've made endless friends, connections. It's opened so many doors for me, and I'm sober now. I mean, I get to like actually live my life in real time and not just be fucked up and like not really doing anything. I realized that I hadn't been doing anything with my life for years. I partied. I was really fucking good at it. And that was all I was known for. Everybody just knew me to be this like crazy fucker. Now I just try to show that through my artwork. You know, it's the most exciting thing in my day. It's the biggest struggle in my day. It drives me nuts sometimes. You get blocked, you can't make anything, you don't know how to be creative, but like at the end of the day, I'm surrounded by awesome pictures that I love, and like all the people that I've met through making art are like the strongest connections that I've ever had in life. And I don't know, I wouldn't trade doing what I do for fucking anything. It's fun. I appreciate everybody that supports me, checks out my stuff, even just gives it a look. Everybody that gets my shit tattooed on them, everybody that's an artist, a part of Defenders of Good Times. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to share all my stuff, share my fucked off little stories, and you know, hopefully inspire some people to, you know, do what they need to do to make them happy, whether it's creating stuff, getting sober, any of that shit. If anybody has any questions about anything regarding any of that stuff, just hit me up. I'm always down to talk to new people, make new friends, and all of that. But if you do want to see more of my weird artwork and you want to see what I do, my Instagram is Chris_D.O.G.T, and it's not D.O.G.T. It's D.O.G.T. Everybody always thinks it's my last name, but it's just for Defenders of Good Times, which is my other Instagram that I run. That's the collective and all the artwork there. And that is just Defenders_of_good_times. And I also am part of an art collective called the Swamp Wizards. Instagram's just Swamp Wizards. And I am the front manager of True Tattoo in Hollywood. The Instagram is just The True Tattoo. And this is where I have my artwork. This is where my little studio is. So if anyone's ever in Hollywood, wants to swing by, just hang out for a bit, check out some of my artwork, buy any of my artwork, come to True Tattoo. It's on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood. And we'll hang out. I'll show you some weird shit, give you a bunch of random stickers and all that. I'm really stoked that, you know, I get to share my stories and that people actually listen to them. So thanks to everybody that actually gives a shit about anything that I do in life, because that's pretty cool. And yeah, I hope that, you know, people hit me up and want to collaborate. Any artists that ever want to do anything with me, just get a hold of me. I'm down to paint with anyone on anything, anytime.